Hello and welcome to She's the Boss in association with Four Seasons Hotel, Mumbai. She's been voted among the 100 most influential national leaders in marketing, an industry maven with over 18 years of experience. I'm very proud to welcome Molly Kapoor, who's the head of marketing at one of India's leading mutual fund companies. Molly, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
So I wanted to start by asking you, in India, we've seen both a female prime minister as well as a female president. We've seen industry leaders such as Indra Nooyi as well as Chanda Kochar. But yet in India, you hear stories of atrocities against women constantly. Does this kind of dichotomy send out mixed signals to the business world?
See, as far as a mixed signal to business world is concerned, I would say that business world probably is only, getting more and more inspired by these stories. So the handful of women who are there in the corporate world today, we are feeling more and more determined to, make sure that not just women progress, but there are more and more women who are inducted.
Okay.
So so it's just not a message to just the women out there, it's also a message to all the men, all the managers, in particular, that it is important that we encourage women to come into the workforce.
Okay.
And I feel that only then, we will see a larger change happening. As far as press is concerned, so I would say that, earlier these stories were never heard of,
Yes.
So if you're talking about these stories in the non-corporate world,
Yeah.
I believe it's a very good signal.
Okay.
It's a very good start. Unless we come out and hear about these stories, we'll never find solutions,
Exactly.
right? So press has a very important role to play here. I would only request press
Yeah.
to make sure now that we also start talking about positive stories around women.
Okay.
Because that will, probably create more confidence in women out there at large
Yeah.
to speak up for themselves, grow beyond their boundaries.
Yeah.
But it's also that external reinforcement is very important.
But even in companies across India where women are at the helm tend to outperform those companies where men are leading in terms of return on assets, in terms of greater profits, even in terms of women-friendly policies, especially when it comes to promotion and hiring. So despite these very, very clear advantages, why is India Inc. not seeing more women as board of directors?
So if you see the recent regulation that has come up, which mandates that one women leader has to be there on the board of every company.
Right.
I think that's a very welcome change. And some progressive companies are also identifying the benefit of having a woman on the board.
Okay.
And they are now on their own, inducting more and more women.
That's great.
The point that you made on companies performing, better when women leaders are at the helm.
Yeah.
See, I would tend to agree to a certain extent. Reason being that women, they are contributing to lives all around them. So they are contributing to lives in their homes, to their kids, to their employees. So the way we think is that how can we make things around us better? And we are constantly thinking about that. So I think that quality reflects in our work.
Yeah.
But then I think that's a good quality. Having said that, I'm not saying that men are not contributing.
Right.
Men are very essential part of the overall structure.
Yeah.
So the qualities that men bring, which are more constructive, more left brain,
Right.
they marry very well with the nurturing part of the women's personality.
Okay.
So in a corporate, I would say both are very required.
Of course, definitely. Mentioning that, you've been working with a lot of sort of willfulness and heart and focus throughout your career. You've not taken many breaks for either marriage or motherhood or any personal matter. So what drives you personally to work so hard?
I don't take my career as a separate life from the life that I have.
Okay.
So that is one mantra that I don't know, I have just grown up with that.
Okay.
Like how naturally you graduate, now how naturally you take up a job, how
Right.
naturally you get married, have kids.
Yeah.
For me, career is as natural as that. If I have not taken a break from being a mother,
Right.
for me, I can't think of taking a break from my career.
Yeah. And it shows, so sometimes when you look back at your career graph, does your success surprise you?
When I look back, yes, it does. Sometimes it does. But when I look ahead, I feel very humbled. because
great.
there's so much more to do.
Yeah.
Which I see that if there are people who are behind me, there are so many people who are ahead of me,
Right.
and I take inspiration from them on a daily basis.
And they always say in the final analysis, we won't be measured by what we say about ourselves, but what other people will say about us. So it's a typical quandary of the resume versus the reputation.
Yeah.
Now, especially in context of female leaders, how important is this reputation?
I would say it's important for everybody. I believe in this mantra, which is very simple, MAD, MAD.
Okay.
Make a difference.
Right.
If you're making a difference anywhere,
Yeah.
you are relevant,
That's
and you will be respected.
Okay.
However, so between a resume and a reputation,
Yeah.
you may have a fantastic resume by working for the best of the best of the companies, but not necessarily that you may have a good reputation. However, the reverse is true. If you have a good reputation, I'm sure you will have a very good resume.
Exactly, build it up then.
Yeah, contribute. So how can
Yeah.
you contribute and make a difference to the lives of the people around you?
Yeah.
And that will keep you relevant always.
Okay. So when you look around yourself, Molly, what are the kind of challenges that you think in particular female leaders are facing today in today's work environment, and how can they overcome them?
So the biggest challenge is that you will find yourself all alone many a times, So you'll
Right.
walk into boardrooms,
Yeah.
you'll walk into meetings, you'll walk into room full of men,
Right.
and they're all alpha men, and
Okay.
they are high achievers.
Right.
Okay. So that will be one big challenge, that you will have to stand your ground. You'll have to be self-confident.
Right.
Okay, and not differentiate in your mind between a man and a woman.
Right.
Again, I will bring that point once again, that if you're contributing, you're relevant, stay with that. So then, whether it's a man or a woman, it doesn't make a
Doesn't
difference.
matter.
It's within you.
Okay, that's good to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah.
But women don't have to keep proving themselves or work doubly hard. Sometimes you feel.
No, not necessarily, not necessarily.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
That's a positive
I think
thing.
again it's within. If you just keep this noise out, then I am the one who's doing most of the work, and so even if you are doing most of the work, who's
Yeah.
benefiting out of it? You are the one who's benefiting out of it.
That's true.
So if you're, however, I really admire these qualities in women, which I have also observed that very sincere in what if they are in the office from 9 to 5,
Yeah.
you don't have to constantly monitor them.
Okay, that's good to hear. And we teach our children in schools the most complicated of all subjects, but we leave out the very basic life lesson of how to manage your own money. Because you're from the industry, what is the kind of advice that you would give people on how to build their asset portfolios or how to just manage their personal finances?
So I would just say how people learn. People learn by looking at somebody. People
Okay.
learn by, references.
Yeah.
So I would want to be a role model for my daughter. I would
Right.
want to be a role model for my daughter's friends. Whatever, again, I can contribute to their life
Okay.
by being meaningful to them.
Right.
So most important for women is, first of all, start managing money yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of depending on
Only
your
then the
spouse or
believability
partner.
comes. If you're not managing money, and if you're teaching your kids, you must manage your money. Who will believe you?
And you've done that for your daughter as well. You've created a trust for her. You put financial checks and balances in place.
Yeah.
How can other parents go about doing the same thing?
So the way I look at money is the way I look at well-being of my family.
Okay.
So one part is, as women, we are always taking care of health of the family, giving them the
Yes.
best food, best nourishment. Similarly, why leave out wealth being of the family? Wealth is a part of your family. So
That's
make
true.
sure that even wealth is properly managed in the family. You are a part of it.
Yeah.
So simple things like keeping an account of wherever your investments are, making sure that your personal finance management is right up there. So
Right.
whether it's an insurance policy,
Okay.
whether it's a health policy, whether your loans or any mortgages there on you,
Yeah.
all that is transparent and discussed, and the records are maintained.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, it is important. If the record is maintained but people don't know about it,
Yeah.
then it's as good as records not being maintained.
Yeah.
So maintain the records. First of all, buy the policies, invest in mutual funds, or make sure your bank or mortgage is sorted.
Right.
Then discuss it with family. Keep
Okay.
records of everything, so that it's all transparent.
Makes sense. So, when you look back then, Molly, how has the conversation about women in the workplace evolved or changed in the last, say, 2 decades that you've been in the industry?
Well, I don't see too much of a change.
Yeah.
However, I see a huge opportunity. Huge
Okay.
opportunity.
Yeah.
See, one of the reason why workplace
Yeah.
conversations around women leaders have not changed that much, because how many women leaders are available today? Very few,
We know only a handful of big
Very
names,
few.
right?
How will it bring about a change?
Yeah.
Only when women don't give up their careers and make sure that they, reach the levels where they are able to make a change.
Yeah.
So mostly women who are at, let's say, executive levels or managerial levels, they are executing decisions.
Okay.
You have to cross that barrier and start making decisions, and that happens when you reach a leadership level. So why do women, leave their careers? It's more of a personal decision, So when, let's say, when you have kids, when you get married, if you're not able to, find the right, let's say, support in the family
That's true.
to take care of your kids or take care of your parents or to run the house, that's when, usually, drop off and say, okay, fine, I'll take care of my house.
Okay.
But I would again, request all women to don't give up there. Don't give up there.
Yeah.
You are courageous, so fight your way. Make sure that you make arrangements which are alternate. Don't feel guilty that somebody else is taking care of the child or feeding the child. Ultimately, you are taking care of the child.
Exactly.
You are emotionally, supporting your child. The child is with you. Just that somebody else is feeding her or him when you're not around, which is okay.
Yeah.
So be with that thought and don't leave your careers.
Yeah. And that's a good thought, to end on also. So thank you so much, Molly. I think the lesson that we can all learn is that you shouldn't worry about being successful, but about being significant. I think that's when success will really follow.
Oh, yes.
So thank you so much for such an inspiring interview and such inspiring words. I'm sure whoever is watching will learn a lot from you, especially the women leaders.
Thank you so
Thanks so
much
for joining us
Thank
here
you.
today.
Thank you.